Have you ever thought about how you would react if you knew you were about to lose everything? At 600 years old, Noah felt the weight of his age as he stared into the dark sky. He sensed that his end was near. The world around him had become completely corrupt, filled with violence and wickedness. God, weary of humanity's rebellion, regretted creating them and decided to wipe out all life on earth. But just as the world seemed doomed, God's powerful voice broke the silence, commanding Noah, "Noah, build an ark, for I am going to send a flood of water that will destroy all life under the heavens." Without hesitation, Noah obeyed, but the task ahead was daunting. His family doubted him, and whispers of disbelief followed him. "Is he crazy? An ark in the middle of dry land?" his sons murmured. His neighbors laughed at him, mocking him each time they passed by his property. "Look at the old fool building a boat in the desert," they jeered. "Would you have the courage to continue in the face of such ridicule?" Despite the laughter and disbelief, Noah remained steadfast. "God has commanded me," he repeated like a mantra, drawing strength from his unwavering faith. The ark slowly took shape, standing tall and ready for its divine purpose. When the rains finally began, Noah and his family took refuge inside, while their neighbors, now terrified, cried out for help. "Help us, Noah!" they shouted, but it was too late. After 150 days, as the rain stopped and the waters receded, Noah looked around. The world as he had known it was gone. Everything was destroyed. "Why, Lord?" he whispered. The cities, the towns, the fields where his children had played, all vanished beneath the floodwaters. The world had been consumed by devastation. Then God's voice echoed again, comforting and resolute. "Trust in me." Noah understood that, though everything had been lost, a new hope was about to be born. And now, if you are hearing this, you are a descendant of Noah. His story is not just a tale from the past, it is a powerful message for us today. Just as Noah faced a flood, we too will encounter storms in our lives. In those moments, we must build our own ark, even if it means facing rejection and mockery. What sacrifices are we willing to make today to ensure a better future for our families? Noah's story teaches us that, no matter the challenges, by trusting in God's plan, we can emerge stronger and with renewed hope. It all began in an era overshadowed by profound darkness, where wickedness ruled the hearts of men, and the earth groaned under the weight of human depravity. In this grim world, Noah's father, Lamech, would often share ancient stories of righteous men, heroes of faith who walked with God. "You come from the line of Seth," Lamech would say, his voice rich with the gravity of history. "Son of Adam, destined for something great." Noah often wrestled with a deep sense of loneliness as he gazed into the night sky. "God, where are you?" he would murmur in the quiet of his nightly prayers. The world around him seemed utterly devoid of hope, consumed by chaos and sin. Humanity, once created in God's image, had descended into darkness, leaving the earth a reflection of their moral decay. Yet Noah, upright and just, stood as a beacon of hope amidst the overwhelming corruption. As it is written in Genesis, "But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord." One stormy night, as the winds howled and the thunder rumbled in the distance, Noah turned to his father with a heavy heart. "Father, the world is rotten," he said, his voice filled with sorrow. "Men have forgotten God, but not you, Noah," Lamech replied, his eyes shining with a rare light. "You have found favor in the eyes of the Lord." That night, as the storm raged outside, something profound changed within Noah. A powerful presence swept over him, and then, in the stillness, he heard it. The voice of God, deep and resounding like a rumble within his soul. "Noah!" he called, and in that moment the world seemed to stand still. "I have seen your righteousness amidst this corrupt generation. I have chosen you for a purpose." Noah was speechless. The enormity of what God had spoken left him breathless. He had been chosen for a task beyond his understanding. But the Lord continued, speaking with unwavering authority. "I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth." Noah's heart raced with disbelief and fear. "Everything, Lord?" he asked, his words heavy with sorrow. "Will you destroy everything you've created?" The Lord's response was unwavering, as firm as the divine will itself. "Everything on earth will perish, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives with you." Time seemed to freeze in that moment, as Noah surveyed the land he had known, the life he had built. Everything was about to be swept away. The mockery of his neighbors, their disbelief, would soon turn into silence. "God, why have you decided this?" Noah murmured, in a voice full of anguish. The Lord's answer was final, a declaration of judgment that would reshape the very world. "The wickedness of man is great on the earth, and every inclination of the thoughts of his heart is only evil continually," God explained. The Creator looked down upon his creation and saw that the hearts of mankind were filled with nothing but wickedness. His heart was deeply troubled by the evil that had taken root in his creation. Noah was a righteous man, set apart in a world that had descended into moral decay and violence. Amidst the corruption and chaos of his generation, his unwavering faith and obedience to God stood as a beacon of light. Let us pause for a moment and imagine how this story would unfold in today's world. What if the corruption and violence around us were so pervasive that the only solution would be for God to start anew? Would we stand as that one righteous individual, unwavering in our faith, among the millions? How would we respond to such an overwhelming and divine calling? In that profound moment, God's voice pierced the silence of the night with unmatched authority and grace. God spoke to Noah in a solemn whisper, a voice that sliced through the stillness of the dark night like a sharp sword. "So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you." The following morning, a sense of urgency weighed heavily upon Noah and his family. With trembling hands but a heart filled with steadfast resolve, Noah began the monumental task. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. It was a task so massive it seemed impossible. How could a man, already so old, and his family build something so grand in the middle of dry land? "But how are we going to do all this?" asked his son Shem, his voice filled with doubt, his brow furrowed in concern. "Trust in the Lord," Noah replied firmly, his faith unwavering. "He has given us the instructions, and he will give us the strength to follow them." With that, the construction began. The rhythmic strike of the hammer echoed through the valley like the roar of thunder, each blow marking a step toward the fulfillment of God's command. The gopher wood planks lined up one by one, and the ark slowly began to take shape under the relentless, unforgiving sun. As they worked tirelessly, Noah's neighbors, ever watchful, couldn't help but mock and scoff at the sight of this strange construction. "What is this madness you're building?" they taunted. "It is not madness," Noah retorted, his voice steady, unshaken by their ridicule. "It is." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The pace of work was grueling, both physically and mentally, yet Noah pressed on, as did his family. Every day felt like a marathon, and each hour seemed to race by faster than they could keep up. The weight of time seemed almost unbearable. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Noah reminded his family of the Lord's instructions: put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. It was a task that had no end in sight, yet Noah's resolve was firm. As the construction reached its peak, tensions ran high. One afternoon, as they were securing a crucial beam, a gust of wind suddenly picked up, threatening to undo their hard work. "Quick, hold it steady!" Noah shouted, urgency and panic in his voice. His sons scrambled to help, their faces dripping with sweat as they battled the elements. The ark's wooden beams groaned under the pressure, threatening to buckle. Yet, through it all, Noah remained calm. In a rare moment of respite, Noah and his wife paused to survey the fruits of their labor. "Do you really think this will work?" she asked, concern written all over her face. "It's God's will," Noah replied, his calmness rooted in a deep and abiding faith. "In His will we find our hope." As the final days of construction drew closer, the tension reached a breaking point. Dark clouds began to gather on the horizon, a constant reminder of the storm that was approaching. The countdown was nearing its end. "We need to hurry," Noah urged his family, and they doubled their efforts, working with renewed vigor. The hammering and sawing filled the air, echoing in a symphony of hope and despair. Each stroke, each nail, brought them closer to completing their divine task. Finally, with the ark completed, Noah stood back and marveled at the incredible creation that had come to life under his watchful eye. A mix of relief and fear filled his heart. "Time is running out," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "It's time to gather the animals and prepare for what's to come." And so, as the sky grew darker with the impending storm, the ark stood tall as a beacon of salvation. It was more than just a vessel. It was a testament to Noah's unwavering faith and obedience. In a world steeped in corruption, Noah had built a safe haven for his family, a sanctuary for the creatures of the earth, and a symbol of hope for all of humanity. And as the ark stood ready for the storm that would soon come, it was not just a physical structure. It was a powerful reminder of the faith and trust that Noah had placed in God's command. As the first raindrops fell, Noah knew the moment had arrived. He had fulfilled the divine command. But this was only the beginning of the real test. The storm was now in motion, and the world outside the ark was beginning to unravel. "Gather the animals," Noah commanded his sons, his voice firm and unwavering. "Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal." The urgency in his voice was clear. Time was running out, and every second counted. The image of rising waters from his nightly dreams haunted him, pushing him to act swiftly. As dawn broke, the scene that unfolded before him was nothing short of miraculous. From the farthest corners of the earth, animals began to arrive, an unexplainable procession of creatures, as if guided by some invisible force. "How is this possible?" Shem gasped, his eyes wide with awe. Elephants, lions, deer, and countless birds of every hue and size gathered in front of the ark. "It is the hand of God," Noah replied, determination shining in his eyes. "He has commanded it to be so." The air was thick with tension and urgency, every moment more critical than the last. But amidst the chaos, Noah remained steadfast. The challenge was not just the physical labor, but the need to stay calm under the overwhelming pressure. "Quick, this way!" Ham shouted as he directed a pair of giraffes toward the ark. Then the unmistakable roar of lions echoed across the horizon, majestic and intimidating. "Dad, what do we do with them?" Japheth asked, his voice trembling with fear. "Do not be afraid," Noah said, placing a steady hand on his son's shoulder. "They too have a place in the ark. God has sent them." With great care and reverence, Noah's family guided the lions into their designated area. The procession continued relentlessly. Birds filled the skies with a symphony of wings, while reptiles and mammals marched in an unexpected yet orderly parade. "Claudio, I've never seen anything like this," Noah's wife whispered in awe. "It's a miracle in itself." Just as Noah thought he had seen everything, a pair of animals appeared before the ark, creatures he had never seen before, their shapes and colors unlike anything familiar. "Everyone has a place in God's plan," he said, his voice unwavering. The hours stretched on, each moment becoming more intense. "There's no time to waste," Noah urged his family. "The rains are near." With the ark nearly full, Noah paused to take a moment and survey his work. The enormity of the task was overwhelming, and a mix of relief and fear filled his heart. "This is just the beginning," Noah murmured to himself, realizing the true challenge was yet to come. The last pair of animals entered the ark, and the sky darkened. Ominous clouds gathered, heralding the storm that would soon engulf the earth. "We have done our part," Noah said, his voice echoing in the eerie silence. "Now we trust in God." "Dad, the first drops are falling," Japheth shouted, fear in his eyes as he looked up at the sky. Panic spread rapidly, not just among the animals, but also among Noah's family. "Everyone inside," Noah commanded, his voice cutting through the panic like a sharp blade. The family entered the ark, each casting one last glance at the world they were leaving behind. The doors began to close, and a strong wind blew. Rain began to pour in torrents, rapidly escalating to a deafening roar. The sound of the water slamming against the ark was overwhelming. "We're locked in here," Noah thought, the reality of their situation sinking in. "This is the last refuge of life on earth." A terrifying and humbling thought, yet a small glimmer of peace settled over him. "We are safe here," Noah reassured his wife, taking her hand as the ark's doors sealed shut. The rain intensified, and the ark began to rock with the force of the storm. While the world outside descended into chaos, inside the ark there was an odd calm, a peace brought on by faith. "Dad, what happens now?" Ham asked, his voice filled with uncertainty. "Now we wait," Noah answered, his gaze fixed on the darkness outside. "We wait and trust in the Lord. He has led us this far, and He will protect us." Suddenly, the earth trembled. "The fountains of the deep have burst forth," Shem cried out, his voice a mix of awe and fear. From deep within the earth, torrents of water surged upwards, merging with the unrelenting rainfall, creating a chaotic, violent flood that spread with terrifying speed. "Everything is flooding," Ham shouted as he peered through a crack in the ark. He watched in horror as the waters quickly rose, sweeping away everything in their path. Mountains, valleys, cities, and fields. All were submerged beneath the merciless waters. The ark, built with unwavering faith and obedience, began to float. "We are rising," Japheth said, his voice filled with both fear and relief. The immense ark swayed above the floodwaters, rocking gently at first, but soon jolted by violent waves. Outside, the world was being consumed by the flood. The cries of those who had mocked Noah echoed in the distance, but were soon drowned out by the roar of the water. Life outside the ark perished rapidly, humanity swept away by the wrath of divine judgment. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, charged with expectation. "God protect us," Noah prayed, his voice low but fervent. He understood that humanity's fate now rested in the ark, a massive wooden vessel floating on an ocean of destruction. For 40 days and 40 nights, the torrential rains did not cease. The waters of the flood engulfed the earth, rising above even the highest mountains, swallowing everything in its path. "The world we knew has vanished," Noah's wife whispered. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked back on the life they once had before the cataclysm. Noah, ever steady in his faith, replied, "God has promised us a new beginning. We must have faith." His voice, calm and unwavering, became an anchor in the midst of the storm, a reminder of the hope they still held. The floodwaters continued to rise, and the ark began to sway violently as the waves battered it. David, "Hold on!" Noah shouted, his voice urgent as a particularly powerful wave hit the ark. The animals inside stirred uneasily, their sounds adding to the cacophony of anxiety and fear. Despite the chaos, there were moments of unexpected calm that brought a flicker of hope. "Dad, look!" Japheth exclaimed, pointing to a flock of birds soaring gracefully over the ark, seeking shelter from the storm. Their flight seemed to carry a message of hope, a small but powerful symbol amidst the devastation. Let us reflect on the magnitude of this event in our own times. Imagine a global flood, a cataclysmic event that changes the face of the earth. It serves as a reminder of nature's immense power, the fragility of human life, and the critical importance of faith and obedience, especially in times of crisis. Finally, after 40 days and 40 nights, the rains stopped. The deafening roar of the deluge gradually faded into silence, leaving only the gentle sound of water slapping against the ark. "God has kept his promise," Noah said, his voice filled with both gratitude and reverence. "Now we must wait for the waters to recede." For 150 days, the ark drifted across the vast ocean, carried by the surging waters. Noah and his family patiently awaited the moment of redemption. One day, when it seemed that everything had stilled, they felt a faint thud. "We have stopped," Noah announced with a mixture of surprise and hope in his voice. The ark had come to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The tension inside the ark was palpable. "What do we do now?" asked Ham, uncertainty in his eyes. "We wait," Noah replied, his voice steady, "but we must also look for signs." With resolve, Noah opened a small window on the ark and released a raven. "Fly and tell me if the land has dried up," he whispered, watching as the bird flew into the distance. Days passed, and the raven returned, finding no place to rest. Noah knew that clearer confirmation was needed. He decided to release a dove. "Go and bring us hope," he whispered gently as the dove took flight. The weight of uncertainty was unbearable as they watched the dove soar into the sky. "Will it return?" Japheth asked, his voice filled with a mix of hope and fear. "We must have faith," Noah replied, his words steady and firm. Days stretched into endless hours, and anxiety gripped the family. But then, suddenly, the silence was broken by a flutter of wings. The dove returned, but with nothing in its beak. "The earth is not yet ready," Noah sighed, yet he did not lose hope. "We will wait another week. God has not forsaken us." A week later, Noah released the dove again, his heart pounding with anticipation. Tension filled the air as each family member watched with anxious eyes. The hours dragged on, but at last the dove returned. This time, it carried an olive leaf in its beak. "Look," Shem exclaimed with a mix of relief and joy. "The earth is drying up." The olive leaf was a powerful symbol of hope and renewal, a sign that the earth was beginning to heal. "God has kept his promise," Noah said, his voice breaking with emotion. "Soon we will be able to leave." Imagine the overwhelming hope we would feel today if we received a sign of life after a global catastrophe. The dove and its olive leaf teach us about perseverance, faith, and the belief that after every storm, there is a new beginning. The ark remained firmly anchored on the mountains of Ararat as the waters slowly receded. Noah's family watched in awe as the landscape began to re-emerge, revealing a world that had been cleansed and renewed. "We have survived God's judgment," Noah's wife said, her eyes glistening with tears. Now we must rebuild. With each passing day, the water level dropped lower and lower. The land, though desolate, was full of promise as it began to show signs of life again. Noah, with unshakable faith, knew the time to leave the ark was drawing near. "We are here by the grace of God," Noah said one evening as his family gathered in prayer. "We have been chosen to start anew. We must live according to His will." The long wait was over. One day, in the stillness of the ark, God spoke to Noah once again, breaking the silence with a voice that filled the space with awe and purpose. "Come out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." Noah, overwhelmed with a deep sense of gratitude and anticipation, prepared to take the first step into the new world. He had journeyed through the darkest times, and now, as the doors of the ark creaked open, a new chapter was about to unfold. The moment the doors opened, sunlight poured into the ark, bathing the family in a warm glow, as though the earth itself was breathing a sigh of relief. "It's time," said Noah, his voice steady, filled with a resolution that came from the depths of his faith. The family, with hearts full of hope, cautiously began to descend the ramp, each step bringing them closer to solid ground. "Look, the sun!" Japheth exclaimed, his eyes sparkling as they gazed up at the sky. The once grey clouds parted, and the bright rays of the sun shone through, symbolizing a new beginning for Noah and his family. Hope surged in their hearts as they set foot on the land, a land that had been cleansed by the waters of the flood and was now ready to be reborn. Once they were all safely on the land, Noah paused, surveying the barren yet promising landscape. The earth was now a blank canvas, waiting for them to shape it. "Let's build an altar to the Lord," said Noah, his voice reverberating with reverence and gratitude. "We will give thanks for His mercy and for this new beginning." His words carried weight, as they knew they had been given the responsibility of starting anew. With trembling hands but determined hearts, Noah and his family gathered stones and constructed an altar. The animals, now free, wandered into the world that awaited them. The family offered sacrifices to the Lord, and as the flames leaped into the sky, the smoke rose as a symbol of their gratitude. "Thank you, Lord," murmured Noah, his voice choked with emotion, "for your mercy and your protection." In that moment, the sky above them seemed to respond. A brilliant, unexpected light shone across the horizon, and a rainbow appeared, casting vibrant colors across the sky. God spoke again, his voice gentle yet profound, echoing through the stillness. "This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." Noah's family watched in awe, their hearts swelling with gratitude as they realized the true significance of the rainbow. It was not just a beautiful natural phenomenon, but a divine promise, a sign of God's everlasting covenant with them, a promise. "God has promised never again to curse the earth because of man," said Noah, his voice thick with emotion. "This is His eternal covenant with us." "Dad, what do we do now?" asked Shem, his voice full of curiosity, wonder, and the weight of what lay ahead. "Now we start anew," Noah replied, his voice filled with a conviction that only faith can provide. "We shall populate the earth and live according to God's will." The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a golden light over the new world before them. Noah and his family stood in awe of the land that now stretched out in front of them. They had survived, and now they were part of something greater. The promise of the rainbow echoed in their hearts, a reminder of the faith that had carried them through the flood and into this new world. When God spoke to them again, his voice carried an authority that could not be denied. "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth," commanded the Lord, his words filled with both blessing and purpose. Noah's family, still reeling from the magnitude of what had happened, stood in awe, listening intently. The weight of their new responsibility began to settle upon them, knowing that they were the ones chosen to carry on the legacy of humanity. "Behold," God continued, "the fear and dread of you will fall on all the beasts of the earth and on all the birds in the sky, on every creature that moves along the ground, and on all the fish in the sea. They are given into your hands." It was a moment of renewal, a command to start anew. Yet, in a surprising twist, God added a new stipulation that would change everything. "Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you, just as I gave you the green plants. I now give you everything," he said. But then came a warning. "But you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it." The tension in the air was palpable. Noah and his family understood the gravity of this new law, and they knew the responsibility it placed upon them. God had forbidden the eating of animal blood, a new practice that would shape their way of life. Noah, his heart full of gratitude and respect, nodded solemnly. "We will obey your commands, Lord," he said, his voice firm with resolve. Suddenly, God's tone shifted, becoming more solemn and serious. "And for your lifeblood I will surely demand an accounting. I will demand an accounting from every animal and from each human being too. I will demand an accounting for the life of another human being," proclaimed the Lord. The weight of these words hung in the air, and Noah's family felt the full responsibility of the new covenant they had entered. They understood that every life, human and animal, was precious and accountable to God. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God has man been made. The gravity of this new law resonated deeply within them. It was a call to respect life, to live in a way that honored the Creator's image in every human being. Noah's family felt the burden of this covenant and the responsibility it carried. They were not just survivors of a great disaster. They were now the stewards of a new world, tasked with rebuilding and respecting the divine order. "Multiply and be fruitful," he reiterated. "Breed abundantly in the earth and multiply therein." God's voice resonated with a promise of hope, fertility, and renewal. The earth had been given a second chance, and with it the opportunity for humanity to live according to his will. Then God established his everlasting covenant. "I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, all those that came out of the ark with you, every living creature on earth." The voice of God resonated with a solemn promise. "I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." It was a moment of divine assurance. The catastrophe had passed, and now humanity was promised that such a disaster would never again befall the earth. And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." Noah's family looked up at the sky, their hearts full of awe and wonder. The rainbow, once just a natural phenomenon, was now an eternal symbol of God's promise, a reminder of his faithfulness to all living creatures. "Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life." In the calm air of the morning, God concluded, "Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it, and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth. This was the end of a chapter full of promises and a new beginning. Noah, with tears in his eyes, looked at his family and then at the sky. "God has spoken and made a covenant with us," he said, his voice echoing with gratitude and reverence. "Let us live according to his will, always remembering his promise. Whenever we see his bow in the sky." One day the sun broke through the clouds, casting its golden rays over the new earth. Life once again flourished under the blessings of God. Noah, having completed the monumental task entrusted to him, decided to plant a vineyard. The vines grew steadily, bearing fruit, and Noah, feeling the joy of this new beginning, crafted wine from the harvest. After a long day of labor, he drank from the fruit of his vine. The wine, potent and intoxicating, quickly took its toll, and Noah, unaware of its effects, fell asleep in his tent, naked and exposed. Ham, one of his sons, entered the tent and saw his father in this vulnerable state. Instead of showing the respect and dignity his father deserved, Ham stepped outside and mocked Noah to his brothers. "Come see, old Noah has drunk himself silly and is lying naked," Ham said, his voice dripping with scorn as he reveled in the humiliation of his father. They looked at their brother with stern faces, not allowing Ham's disrespect to go unchallenged. "This is not right," Shem said, his voice sharp with rebuke. Without another word, he and Japheth retrieved a blanket and walked backward, their heads turned away from their father's nakedness to maintain their dignity. They covered Noah with respect, refusing to shame him further. The following morning, Noah awoke to a headache that paled in comparison to the deep humiliation he felt when learning of his son's actions. "Ham, what have you done?" Noah asked, his voice heavy with pain and disappointment. Ham, sensing his father's fury, stood silent, unable to offer an apology that would undo the harm caused. In his anger and sorrow, Noah pronounced a curse, his words cutting through the air with a finality that left no room for doubt. "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." The severity of Noah's words echoed like thunder in the calm morning, as the family took in the weight of the judgment. Noah then turned to Shem and Japheth, who had acted with reverence and respect. "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." With these blessings, Noah began to restore the peace that had been disturbed, reaffirming the values of respect and honor that were now etched in their new world. Even the most righteous among us, Noah's story reminds us, are susceptible to fallibility. This episode in Noah's life serves as a stark reminder of the importance of respect and dignity. It highlights the tension that can arise even within a family, but also the power of forgiveness and restoration. As Noah reflected on this moment, he shared a vital lesson with his family. "We must live with honor and respect," his voice steady with wisdom gained through experience. "God has given us a second chance. We must not forget it." The family continued their lives in the cool morning air, aware of both the blessings and the curses that surrounded them. They had been entrusted with the task of rebuilding, with the hope that this new world would be shaped by the values of righteousness. Wine, which had been a symbol of celebration, became a bitter lesson in humility and respect, Noah thought, as he gazed at the vineyard he had planted. "We have been blessed and cursed," he murmured to himself. "It is our responsibility to live according to God's will." Noah's family, now committed to their purpose, set out to create a world that honored the teachings and lessons passed down through the flood. Over time, the land flourished, and Noah watched as his children and grandchildren grew. His 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became patriarchs of new nations, and their descendants spread across the earth. Shem, blessed by his father, became the ancestor of the Semites, including the Hebrews. His lineage, filled with promise and blessing, spread east and south, establishing prosperous cities and thriving communities. Ham, despite the curse upon his son Canaan, saw his descendants multiply as well. His children became the progenitors of many African and Asian nations, scattering to the southwest. Though we have been cursed, we still possess our strength and will, Ham would say, his voice a mix of defiance and hope. Japheth, the youngest son, saw his descendants spread to the north and west. His children founded European and Asian nations, creating civilizations that would endure for centuries. God has enlarged Japheth, Noah proclaimed, watching with pride as his lineage grew and prospered. Noah's life continued in peace, marked by reflection and gratitude. He lived for 350 more years after the flood, reaching the remarkable age of 950. With each passing year, Noah looked back on his extraordinary journey, from building the ark to witnessing the earth's renewal. "God has been good to me," he would often murmur, his eyes filled with the wisdom of a man who had seen both destruction and rebirth. One day, surrounded by his family, Noah felt his time was near. "I have lived a full life," he said to his children and grandchildren, his voice soft yet clear. "God has allowed me to see the renewal of the earth and the multiplication of my lineage. Live justly and honor his covenant." The eternal cycle of generation and renewal was clear to Noah, and he knew that his legacy would live on in the faith he had passed down. "My legacy is not only in the flesh," he thought, "but in the faith I have passed down to my descendants." When Noah finally exhaled his last breath, his family was by his side. "A righteous man has died," said Shem, his voice heavy with emotion. "But his spirit and teachings will live forever." The impact of Noah's life was deeply felt in every corner of the earth. His descendants, aware of the immense responsibility they carried, spread out and thrived, populating the world with the promise of a better future. The name of Noah, the righteous man who walked with God and survived the flood, echoed through the generations. His legacy endured not only in his descendants, but in the story of humanity itself. The faith, obedience, and hope that he embodied became guiding lights for those who came after, providing direction and inspiration through life's challenges and tribulations. Noah's life, filled with unexpected twists, high tensions, and profound moments, ultimately came to an end. Yet his story is far from over. His faith, his unwavering obedience, and the legacy he left behind continue to echo through the generations, inspiring all who come after him. His story is immortalized in a world that has been forever changed. This marks the end of Noah's journey as told in Genesis. But this is just the beginning. Now we must fast forward to the final chapter of the Bible, the Book of Revelation. Here we find the ultimate conclusion of history. Christianity prophesies the second coming of Jesus, a future event mentioned 318 times throughout the Bible, making it the most frequently foretold prophecy. This powerful book is more than just a distant vision. It holds crucial relevance for our times, offering insight into what's yet to come. May you and your family be blessed as you embrace these timeless lessons and prepare for the future that awaits us all. Dear brother, if you're going through a lot of troubles in life, we'd like to share with you some useful pieces of advice inspired by the content of this video. We hope these tips will be helpful to you. Stay steadfast in your beliefs, even in the face of ridicule. Noah's unwavering obedience to God's command, despite the mockery and disbelief from his family and neighbors, teaches us the power of faith and persistence. In life, you may face criticism or doubt from others, but remember that following your purpose, no matter how challenging, can lead to great rewards. Stay true to your values, even when the path is unclear. Prepare for the storms of life before they hit. Noah built the ark long before the flood came, showing us the importance of preparation. In our own lives, we may face unexpected challenges, but by building strong foundations, whether through education, relationships, or financial planning, we can better weather life's storms when they arise. Have faith in the face of adversity. When Noah saw the world around him crumble, he trusted God's plan. In today's world, when things seem uncertain or chaotic, having faith in a higher purpose or believing in yourself can help you navigate through difficult times. Trust that there is meaning even in the challenges you face. Be willing to act on what you believe even when others doubt you. Noah's family doubted him and others mocked him, yet he remained focused on his mission. When you are following your passions or making difficult decisions, there will always be naysayers. Don't let doubt from others prevent you from taking the necessary steps toward your goals. Respect and dignity are paramount, even when faced with flaws. The way Noah's sons handled his vulnerability teaches us the value of respect. In our relationships, it is important to act with dignity and honor, especially during moments when others may falter. Showing kindness and understanding when others make mistakes is a mark of strength and character. When faced with tough choices, trust in a higher purpose. Noah's actions were based on his trust in God's plan, not on his understanding of the details. Similarly, in life, when faced with tough decisions, it's important to trust in your higher purpose or guiding principles. This trust will provide you with clarity when you're unsure of your path. The importance of humility and grace in success. After Noah planted the vineyard and drank wine, a situation arose where his son's disrespect left a mark on the family. Success can lead to moments of pride or even failure, but it's crucial to approach both with humility and grace. Don't let success get to your head, and don't let setbacks define you. Life is about learning from both triumphs and mistakes. The story of Noah's life reminds us that no one is perfect, not even the righteous. Every triumph comes with lessons, and every mistake offers an opportunity for growth. Embrace change and be open to renewal. Just as Noah and his family stepped into a new world after the flood, life often requires us to embrace change and start fresh. Change can be intimidating, but it's also an opportunity for growth. When faced with new beginnings, approach them with an open mind and a hopeful heart. Leave a legacy of integrity, faith, and compassion. Noah's legacy was defined by his faith and obedience, and his example impacted future generations. Consider the legacy you want to leave behind. What values will you pass on to those around you? Whether it's through your family, your work, or your community, ensure that your actions reflect your highest ideals and inspire others to live with purpose. These pieces of advice encourage resilience, integrity, and faith, helping us navigate the challenges of today with wisdom drawn from timeless lessons.